You're listening to Making the Cut, the mostly true life story of a retired surgeon from 1C Productions.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Seitz, founder and president of 1C Productions. This episode contains explicit language and adult content. It is intended for mature audiences only.
To announce to the British surgical world I was serious about training as a surgeon, I had to pass the primary surgical fellowship. I had fitted away my study time by spending it with Hanna, and really I was ill-prepared. Yet luck could play a role in passing, depending on the questions. So I went. The ghost of my father roared over my shoulder, predicting failure.
"17 months ago, I passed the Licentiate of the Society of Apothecaries examination. In a matter of several hours, I underwent an educational catharsis, pouring out 5 years of accumulated medical knowledge into blue-covered answering books. My responses earned me a license to practice medicine. A few weeks later, I passed the definitive General Medical Council qualifying examinations. I was rewarded with the title Doctor. In each case, I had a sense of confidence that I knew the information from which the examination questions were going to be asked. Now I face the next step in my journey to becoming a surgeon, the written primary surgical fellowship. Unlike the other tests, the primary examination had no set curriculum to study. Even if it had, though, would I have paid attention to it? Hanna proved way more enticing than the books. I therefore woke up the morning of the examination with a pit of anxiety in my stomach. Victoria woke up early too, and made me a smack-up breakfast.
"This is to fortify you."
"Thank you, darling. I'm sure I shall need it."
"Read the questions carefully, sketch an outline of your answer, and then proceed to write."
I nodded as I munched on my eggs and bacon.
"You've been studying for months, and I'm sure you'll do fine. You always do."
I wish she had not said that last part. If she only knew how I had attended to the other parts of my brain and body. Of the attention I gave to Hanna instead of my studies. The painful deception of my other life. I felt awful. Looking up, I saw her beauty and all the virtues I had admired and overlooked for the past months. Such an angel. I didn't deserve her, nor did I deserve to be rewarded with passing an exam. In the grand scheme of things, I could say that I had studied, yet I knew I was not adequately prepared to assuage my sense of apprehension. The fear of failure was ingrained into my DNA by my overambitious father, and this time I did not squash it with preparation. My unease and anxiety centered on whether I had covered the fields of anatomy, physiology, and surgical pathology appropriately. I was scared. I was unprepared. And I had no one to blame but myself. Loaded with my self-made baggage, I walked briskly through a cool morning from Albany Street, past UCH, through Russell Square to the front entrance of the examination hall. Queen Square knowed Gloucester Street, as if heading to an abattoir.
Candidates enter the examination hall via a basement door.
I redirected my feet in the direction he pointed, walking around the building to a narrow back street. There, Mr. Palmer, a formidable army type in a smart mauve frock coat with a waistcoat draped over a prosperous paunch, directed me to a hall with examination desks. I recognized no one as I took my seat. Face down in front of me lay a white sheet of paper and a blue examination booklet.
You may now turn over your question sheet. You have 3 hours to complete your answers in the booklet provided. When you have finished, hand in your booklet to the proctors.
The anatomy questions were obscure, nuanced, and I barely understood them. By asking this question about that anatomical structure, I wondered what was the answer they were seeking. My answers became convoluted and meandering in hope of befuddling the truth. I was walking the plank. Matters didn't get better when I faced the physiology questions or even the surgical pathology paper. I was a driver careening down the road with no control of my car and heading for a crash. I went home dejected and certain of my failure. I was too wound up to rest. Sleep was difficult. Thank goodness Victoria was on call, so I didn't have to tell her how badly I'd done. Sleep, when it eventually came, was punctuated with nightmares of what I should have written. I tossed and turned. The next couple of days I revisited my notes, trying to guess what oral questions they could possibly ask me. The exercise merely confused me. To unwind, I went to the rose garden and walked about. A few days later, I faced the dreaded viva voce, the orals, where 6 different examiners would quiz me about any aspects of surgical anatomy, physiology, and pathology. Walking to the examination hall, I felt numb. By the time I entered the examination room, I was as slouched as a man 5 times my age. Standing straight required a foundation of preparation and knowledge. I'd foregone the former, and it allowed me to forget that I had the latter. I walked to the chair in the center of the cubicle and fell into it, not meeting the eyes of the 2 surgical inquisitors I faced. I could not even sit up straight before them. My composure, my demeanor, even my posture reflected my lack of poise and confidence.
What is a sphincter? And give me some examples.
I heard myself say, "What do you mean by sphincter, sir? I don't understand the question." What was there not to understand? Where was my mind? I waffled my way through the next few questions just as poorly, lacking conviction in my own answers. It was painful to hear myself answer the examiners. I droned on and on, attempting to prevent the examiner from asking another question by talking and not ending my answers. I felt a real fraud for trying to bluff my way into a profession whose standard I knew I had not earned and did not deserve. I wanted to melt away in my chair. By midday, cross-examination in all topics mercifully concluded.
We will release the names of the successful candidates at 4 p.m. in Examination Hall.
While he and the other examiners enjoyed their pre-meal sherry, 3-course lunch and post-meal port and cheese, all served by elderly Irish helpers, we lowly students wretchedly awaited our fates. I retreated to the Swan a few minutes from the examination hall, which was open for lunch. Several other candidates congregated there as well, and together we commiserated, drawn by the certainty of having done poorly, but longing that somehow there was a glitter of hope in our gloom. I sat among the other candidates, nursing half a pint of lemonade shandy while licking my self-inflicted wounds. Our mood devolved from foul to fouler to desperate, like a dark and hopeless plot in a Kafka novel. I heaped all sorts of punishing and self-deprecating names on myself, castigating myself for ill-preparedness, squandered energy, obsession with another woman, and my deceitful behavior. I hated myself. Sitting in this stew of self-made shit, I waited in agony. Finally, the time arrived to reconvene. We crowded into a stuffy, windowless room and sat in various states of anxiety, pondering our fate. At 4:15, Mr. Palmer appeared at the door, list in hand. Silence fell upon the wretched crowd of would-be surgeons.
I will read out only the number of successful candidates. If you hear your number, please step forward. I will ask you if you are Dr. So-and-so, and when you acknowledge your name, I will tell you, "Congratulations, Mr. So-and-so," indicating as you step through the door that you are on your way to becoming a surgeon.
I watched each successful candidate approach Mr. Palmer, listen to the coveted question and congratulations, then leave the room with nary a look back at the rest of us.
Candidate 17.
It took a moment for me to register that he had skipped my number. Rather than hearing congratulations, I now fell in with the contemptible 80% that did not satisfy the examiners, the dross, the unworthy, the undesirable, disreputable, and despicable of surgically aspiring degenerates. I stood and shuffled out. I joined a group of disappointed wretches who wanted to express their misdirected frustration and anger at failing. We ambled together along the outside of the back of Queen's Hall, our disappointment and anger growing with each step. In a vengeful act, we pissed in unison into the ventilation system of the examination hall. 10 powerful streams of the finest urine, aimed accurately. I limped home to a cold, dark flat. Victoria was on duty in the hospital. I fell into bed without eating dinner. But as I drifted to sleep, my brain was already turning toward how I could conquer this the next time. I would sign up to the courses at the Royal College to better prepare myself for the repeat exam some 7 months away. I would study hard this time. I would do the work. And somehow, I would stop seeing Hanna.
I never told Victoria why I failed. The outcome left me fearing my ability to control my future. Guilt replaced shame. I had to get my life together.
Thanks for listening to this project from 1C Productions, where thought-provoking media comes alive. Be sure to check out other 1C shows like Freevangelic, in which a married couple discuss their walk out of lifelong evangelicalism and into a new way of being. Their search for truth might open doors for you as well. Learn about Freevangelic and other 1C Productions podcasts at just1c.com. That's JUSTONEC.com.
You've been listening to Making the Cut from 1C Productions. Making the Cut was written, produced, and directed by Rebecca Seitz, based on Michael McGead's manuscript, Mastering the Knife. Noah James played Michael McGead. Other roles brought to life by the vocal talents of Nicola Waldron, Gareth Rockcliffe, Anderson Seitz, and Andy Hodgson. Audio engineering provided by Zisher LLC. Making the Cut theme music by Kyle J. Baker. Learn more at makingthecutpodcast.com.